the time of enslavement, darkness, and violence, they risked their young lives. On their shoulders, they were carrying Poland.
Dostaliśmy ten wspaniały sprzęt, dostaliśmy wyposażeni.
We got this incredible equipment and went through our first divisional exercises. Army exercises in the Hebron Valley of the entire troops there concentrated in the mountains of Lebanon. In February, on the 12th of February, I think, we had already traveled to Egypt after these exercises. We stopped near the three pyramids near Cairo. Sands. Incredible sandstorm. We had to change the oil every day. There were 3 transport companies of Polish women our age, 18 or 19 years old. They left the Soviet Union, and some formed a sanitary service as liaison officers. Still, there were also 3 regular companies with commanders, officers, women. They carried food, weapons, and ammunition to the front line. These girls were doing a great job as soldiers.
Jak żołnierze, nazywaliśmy ich pestkami.
At the end of April 1944, we learned that our regiment and the Carpathian Regiment were to be reorganized from the 2nd to the 3rd of May. Then we learned that we were to man one high hill called Castiglione, 760 meters above sea level, which blocked Hitler's second line. We didn't even know about it. We all manned the left side, overlooking Monte Cairo, and those from the Carpathian Regiment overlooked this highest peak of Monte Cairo. Later it turned out that this was Hitler's second line, also manned, with bunkers just like ours. I, with the platoon leader, my platoon leader, was given a task. There was this bunker fitted out by the French, because the French took back from the Germans this Castiglione, and we took it over from the French. So this bunker had 2 light machine guns, and we had some grenades and other weapons. And we watched, especially in the morning, as those clouds lifted, where the Germans were shooting from that valley. It was between us and the Monte Cairo hill. We immediately reported where the explosions were. We had 2 telephone lines, one to the command of our regiment, and the other directly to the troops. Then the commanders concluded that we should continue reporting, but they first waited for more clarification. I was good at math, albeit after elementary school, but as an experienced scout, I was familiar with maps. We were divided into 3 shifts, a lancer and some corporal. These lancers, along with soldiers and commandos, took San Angelo. They had to retreat. That's how this first assault ended. In the second assault, we were not used at all. The squadron commander came and said, "Listen, don't be nervous. General Anders gave the order not to move the drivers, if possible, because we must conquer Monte Cassino. And who will drive those tanks and armored vehicles if our drivers die out in the assault instead of infantry?" And we were not moved. So we continued to observe. 2 were killed in San Angelo. Our 4 men were wounded, and 2 were killed by bullets. The first was Lieutenant Koszyński. I cannot recall the second name. So we've lost only 4 by then.
Także naszych zginęło tylko do tej pory 4. Siedzimy, mieliśmy zmianę i naraz po ciemku widzimy tam.
We were just sitting there. We had our shift, and once in the dark, we'd go there. They started shooting. We thought the ground was collapsing. All this stench at once, and it's several thousand bodies. The entire army began the siege of the monastery. We have 2 machine guns, in case of emergency. My first attack, I was poised. At once, we see the whole mountain of Monte Cassino, all these lights. It was bright enough to read a newspaper. It was unnecessary. This was the worst mistake of the Americans. They destroyed these good, only just created shelters, as it turned out, for German troops. But it turns out, after capturing this hill, that there is Hitler's second line there. No one knew about the second line. The first was Monte San Germano. There was such a town seemingly armed, and it turned out to be a small town on an inaccessible hill with almost no roads. Maybe a tiny motorcycle or small car could go around the swamp, and they dropped our 1st Armored Infantry Regiment there. There, in the first assault, 5 were immediately burned with their crews. There, these officers of ours were murmuring that there, supposedly, some commanders were suspended in action, that the reconnaissance was terribly wrong.
Tych dowódców, że straszne było złe rozpoznanie. Tak byliśmy zmęczeni, że naszych rannych i zabitych nie byliśmy.
We were so tired that we could not take our wounded and killed, even though we were young, 20-year-old boys. It was awful. It was a good thing that the infantry battalion was not far away. I remember this commander of mine. Later, he was given the rank of Cavalry Captain Ponikiewski. He was one so hardened that he still helped others. We were exhausted afterwards. First, we were so hungry and weak because we were dehydrated. Then I saw myself in the mirror and came to my place, where I had a rock shelf. The French or Moroccans made it. They were very good for us. I could lie down on a blanket. I took the helmet under my head and sleep normally. I was 20 years old. The mountains were made of limestone. Rocks sometimes cut naked skin, and I had scabs on my face. We were there for 2 more days and left the line as the last of our regiment. We were replaced by the English. We also had to walk back to where our equipment was left. There, it must be said, it was beautifully prepared. There were elegantly prepared tents, and you could get undressed and sit on a proper chair. They had hairdressers. We were elegantly shaved and got haircuts. There were showers, rows of showers, hot water, cold water. You could clean yourself up. There were even civilian tailors there. They'd make our new uniforms, all except underwear. Everything, all clothing, was new, all of it. They also sewed on decorations right away.
Od razu przyszywali te odznaczenia. To jest to, że człowiek dla tej ziemi.
That a man will do everything for this land, for these graves, anything, even sacrifice himself. A man is capable of sacrificing himself for the sake of these people. Now the Ukrainians are doing it. They are sacrificing themselves for their mothers and their children. Poles were like that too. For Poland, everything. This is my homeland, conquered with blood and scars. And do you love it? I love it sincerely. And what do you believe in? I believe in Poland. That's the poem we were told as kids. We all remembered. We saw them watching these legionaries, the wounded, or other soldiers as they vacationed. It really was something extraordinary. For Poland, we'd do everything.
Naprawdę to było coś niesamowitego. Dla Polski wszystko.
Young, free, idealistic. Thanks to them, we live in Poland, in a free Poland, out of gratitude for Poland. Subsidized by the Polish National Foundation.